I had kind of an interesting practice session today, and, well, truth be told, it was something I would tell people not to do. But sometimes I just can't help myself. So, took this guy out, a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 that's been apexed. Well, a little bit different part than the last range trip is it has the 40 caliber barrel in it. So, went to the range today and shot maybe 400 rounds or so of 40 caliber ammunition. Then afterwards, I switched to a 9mm of a different model and finished the training session with that. So, to be very clear, this is not advice I'd give somebody to, like, if you're training to get really good, obviously there's a lot of value in just shooting one gun, not switching between platforms, and having, maybe you have one, two, three, whatever guns, identical, that look basically the same other than serial numbers, and you just, maybe you have like a gun that you dedicate for matches or teaching, and then other guns for practice, or a backup gun, or a dry fire gun, or, whatever. People organize it differently. But basically, like, the idea of a match and a practice gun. Instead, I shot 2 different calibers and 2 different guns today. Honestly, just because I was kind of curious what would happen. So, one thing that's to note with this, the 40 caliber ammunition I'm shooting is mainly 125 grain frangible ammunition. So, it doesn't recoil quite as much. It's not like I'm shooting 180 grain Hydra-Shock ammo or something like that in quantity. So the frange ammo, the 125 stuff, it snaps more than 9mm, but it's not crazy. So that makes this gun recoil not quite as much, but still more than a 9mm. The reason for doing this, well, because I've got maybe 500 rounds through it with the 9mm barrel. No issues at all so far. No, whether it be ignition. I had questions about like extractions because kind of in case you're not up to speed, I sent this gun to Apex. I bought it as a 40 caliber. I got Apex offered the one of the owners of Apex, very kind, emailed me an offer to put in a 9mm barrel, or offered to rebarrel it, and I said that's fine. That sounds awesome, but it's a 40. Can you put a 9mm barrel on the 40? And he said yes. So while he had it back, they also changed the extractor. So the way the gun sits, all I do, same recoil spring, same slide frame, dot, everything. All I do is just disassemble it, take out the barrel, put the other caliber in, replace the recoil spring, put it back together, off the races I go, and no issues so far. So like I said, up till today, I think I'd had about, maybe call it 500 rounds, 600 rounds of 9mm, and only maybe 50 to 100 rounds of 40 caliber. So today, I shot 40 caliber for the first part of the training session, just to verify, well, I wanted to see what would happen shooting 40 and then 9, and I also wanted to verify the gun was good to go with 40 caliber. So between 40 and 9, no issues at all with reliability, light strikes, anything like that, and the trigger is definitely getting better. So the trigger, not that it was good to begin with, definitely just like, you get the trigger up to the wall and then it's like clicking a mouse. I don't know. There's not very little roll. It's super crisp. I think it's getting a little bit lighter just with shooting it more and dry firing it and that kind of stuff. So this gun's pretty fun to shoot. My friend I was shooting with today was quite impressed with the gun also. But anyway, so shot 40 caliber, several hundred rounds, call it 400 rounds of 40 cal. Then I switched and stopped shooting this, put on a PDP 9mm, except the gun I'll be teaching. I leave tomorrow for classes for a few days, so I was like, I need to shoot, I'll shoot the gun I'm going to teach with. So for the second part of the practice session, I just switched to a 9mm Walther, a poly gun. So poly to poly, 9 to 40. This one has a hollow set on it. The other one has a Vortex Defender XL, but they're fairly similar. You could argue they're really extremely different, but they're in some ways they're similar. They're both polymer frame guns. They're striker fired. Different brand dots, different calibers, but it was really pretty uneventful. The 40, without a doubt, snaps more. The thing, well, I posted a video. I need to read through and look at your comments. But the one thing I noticed when shooting this gun that I don't like, if you, hopefully it's a good enough angle to see, the back part of the grip is wider, and then up here, it's narrower in the front part. And when I was shooting it today, I could definitely notice that because I felt like I needed to keep, like, to stay connected with the gun, a little bit more support hand pressure, and I really felt, it felt like I needed to use more, honestly with both hands, to stay connected to the gun and not have it move around. I think largely due to the shape of the frame and the fact that it's so much narrower here along the front. So the one thing I noticed was that I had to apply a little bit more pressure to connect to it. And then I made a video about this, and I need to go through the comments and do what, whatever you guys recommend. But I don't love the grip situation on this. Despite that, I was still able to, I won't say crush, but I did fairly well with this gun anyway. My friend thought it was okay. So no issues in shooting the gun, no reliability problems. I shot the gun okay. I was happy with how things were going. Then changing to the 9mm PDP, it kind of felt a little bit like easy mode, at least to begin with. So what we're doing today was I'd set up, it's like 5 targets in different, so start out with a little bit of track VA zone, and then some kind of unmounted movement, and then kind of a mounted movement position entry. So kind of 3 different little setups, but the targets really didn't change. Just a couple little different variation kind of rules, but after track VA zone was done, the targets got moved, and they didn't get moved again after that. So a simple setup, just a little bit changing the engagement orders, had a couple no-shoots up at distance, that kind of stuff. And the 9mm, the first, I'll say probably 2 relays through, it felt very, very simple and easy. Like the gun was recoiling less than I expected. So basically it was a test of me not adding too much input when the gun recoils to want to push down and stop the gun recoiling. Instead, just laser focus where I want bullets to go. And whether it's a 40 or a 9mm, just let the gun do its thing, stare where I want bullets to go, and that'd be it. Like I said, I do the first couple of relays, meaning to elaborate, like 4 mags on me. It's a 10-round scenario, so I do it 4 or 5 times. So I can do it twice per mag. Then after doing it 5 times or so, holster up, patch the targets, kind of scoring them in aggregate. Then be the other person's turns. My friend would shoot while I'd jam mags, then back and forth. So that was kind of the scenario for the day. The 9mm, I didn't think it would be eventful, and maybe because I didn't think it would be as big of a deal, it wasn't. And if I would have thought it was going to be life-changing, I probably could have made myself true in that way also. You're kind of good at making yourself right. You can talk yourself into or out of anything, whether something matters or it doesn't, or you need something or you don't. But I didn't notice a huge difference between the two. But also, like I said, I'm shooting Frange 125 40 caliber, so it's not super hot, spicy ammo, but it's still 40 caliber over 9mm. So other than that, I think it was really fun. Switching back and forth between the calibers was just something I wanted to do, just to try and see what would happen. I didn't think I would have a real noticeable outcome, so I just wanted to see if I'd be correct or not. Overall, the things I noticed were the ways I connected to the pistol changed a lot. So both triggers, well, of my guns, between the dynamic performance in a PDP and this Apex, these are probably the 2 best, like the nicest triggers of any of the pistols I own. So that part might have helped a little bit. This one has a little bit more take up, but super crisp and maybe even a tick lighter than the Walther, but again, very comparable. I think the important part was just how I had to apply pressures and stay connected to the gun. With this gun, especially in its current configuration, I noticed with my, like across the front of the grip, I had to make sure I added pressure. I don't know, I almost felt like I was pinching the gun kind of from side to side, and I don't love the way the gun fits into my hand as much. So that'll be getting addressed. I think I'm going to order skateboard tape yet today from Talon just to kind of blend the high and the low there and see how that works out. So I think that'll be my plan in the short term. Also, I've talked to my friend Hunter Constantine about which backstrap he uses, and he does a little chop on one of the models. I gotta look. I think it's the medium large that he cuts the back off of. So I might end up doing that. I plan to see Hunter on this next trip, so I might see if I can mess with his M&P, or I'd like to see if I can get at some point videos with him, because I've known Hunter for several years, had him in class multiple times. I like him. I think he's very likable, and I'm interested in his kind of perspective, because he's been an M&P for a long time. Now he works, or he's sponsored, I don't know what the capacity is, but sponsored by Smith & Wesson. But before that, he'd shot these guns forever, and he's got probably a dozen of them and a gazillion magazines. So kind of cool, because there was no money changing hands, and that was still his favorite gun to shoot. So I like seeing stuff like that. It makes it seem more genuine, as opposed to if I said, hey man, I'm a free agent, I'm interested in all the guns, send me one of everything, and then the next thing you know, I'm shooting an M&P today, a Walther tomorrow, 2011 next week, and then a Glock the following week. I'm like, all right, who's going to pay me the most money? That's going to be my favorite. So anyway, I appreciate that Hunter's shot these guns for a long time, and he's a knowledgeable guy and quite fun to be around. So I'm going to pick his brain a little bit on the guns and see if I can get him on the channel as well. So that's what I got going on. That was my practice for today. It was fun. Again, not something I would tell people to do. I don't think switching back and forth between platforms or calibers is a particularly smart idea. I just wanted to see what would happen. So couldn't help myself. Hope this was something of interest to you, or at least got you thinking, or maybe things about what you shouldn't do. If you have any questions, comments, drop them below. Like, share, subscribe, all that nonsense. I do my best to read through the comments. So if you have something for me, feel free to drop it below if it's a video idea or just a question. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good day.